his castle. The Romans attacked him, and so he sought aid from the Sultan of Morocco. The latter crossed the ocean with his army and brought with him victory. Ibn treated him as an honored guest, allowing him to treat his castles and gardens as if they were his own. But Ibn was observing the situation like a lion, and he had other plans. After only 3 days, Ibn and his army attacked the weakened kingdom of Andalusia, was taken captive, and his properties were seized, his castles and gardens were destroyed, and he was transported to his home province of Agmat as a prisoner. And so are the days, good and not so good. We give to men by turns. The dominion of Andalusia fell into the hands of Ibn. He claimed that the leadership was rightfully his, since it was the people of Andalusia who had summoned for him from Morocco. He claimed that the leadership was rightfully his, since it was the people of Andalusia who had summoned him from Morocco in the first place. Much time passed, and then one day the daughters of Ibn Abbad managed to visit him in prison. They came barefoot, hungry, wan and in tears. When he witnessed their pathetic situation, he cried out, "In the past I would rejoice on special occasions, but what a miserable occasion is it in Agmat as a prisoner. You see your daughters emaciated and hungry. They stitched for people, and they earn nothing. They come to see you fearful and weak, with sad eyes and broken hearts, travelling on mud barefoot, as if those feet never trampled on precious perfume and roses. So when our commandment came, we turned to the towns of Sodom in Palestine upside down. Verily the likeness of this worldly life is as the water rain, which we send down from the sky, so by it arises the intermingled produce of the earth, of which men and cattle eat, until when the earth is clad with adornments and is beautified, and its people think that they have all the powers of disposal over it. Our command reaches it by night or by day, and we make it like a clean mown harvest, as if it had not flourished yesterday." The fruits of contentment. Allah is pleased with them, and they with him. Contentment bears many blessed fruits. More than anything else, by being contented with that which is decreed, one is able to soar to the highest levels of faith and truthfulness. Some might wish for only good to befall them, for only pleasant things to occur in their lives. But that is not what being Allah's slave means. Many of the true believers' characteristics, which include patience, total independence, contentment, humbleness, and submission of one's will, only could become manifest when one is confronted with something that one dislikes. So being pleased with that which has been decreed does not mean being contented with only those things that suit one's disposition. The real gauge for true contentment are those times when one goes through a painful situation, and it is not for the slave to dictate the terms of preordainment. He can be happy or discontented, and it makes no difference except that by being discontented he is sinning. Human beings do not have much of a choice in regards to the divine decree. The choice and decision thereof belongs only with Allah. He is all-knowing and most high. Being pleased with Allah. We should know that if we are pleased with Allah, He is pleased with us. Therefore, if you are pleased with a small amount of sustenance, He will be pleased with you for your small deeds, and if you are pleased no matter what the situation, then you will find that you have earned your Lord's pleasure, and you will realize that Allah is most pleased with sincere people who are content. On the other hand, there are the hypocrites. Allah rejects their deeds regardless of whether those deeds are many or few. They are displeased with what Allah sends down, and they hate seeking His pleasure. Thus their deeds are performed in vain for the malcontented. There is wrath by being dissatisfied with one's situation and by thinking inappropriate thoughts about Allah. One opens the doors of anxiety and grief. On the other hand, contentment with one's situation and with Allah's decree opens the door to a paradise on earth, even before that of the hereafter. To question and complain about what has been decreed cannot result in self-contentment and inner peace. Instead, it is by submission and acceptance that we can bring about those propitious results, because the one who sustains all things should never be accused concerning what he has decreed. I still remember the story of Ibn al-Rawandi, the well-known atheist philosopher. He saw a common ignorant man who lived in castles and who was very wealthy turn to the sky and exclaim, "I am the philosopher of my generation, yet I live in poverty, while this ignorant commoner is rich. This is a random and strange distribution." Allah then increased Ibn in his misery, humiliation, and poverty. But surely the torment of the hereafter will be more disgracing, and they will never be held. The benefits one reaps by being contented. During hard times, if one remains contented with one's situation, one is able to remain calm and composed. But moreover, one shows a true belief in the promise of Allah and His Messenger. It is as if his heart has a voice that says, "This is what Allah and His Messenger Muhammad had promised us, and Allah and His Messenger had spoken the truth." And it only added to their faith and to their submissiveness to Allah. In contrast, the malcontented heart is filled with sickness, doubt, and instability. Such a heart remains rebellious and troubled. It is as if this heart, too, has a voice, but the words it speaks are ever so different. Allah and His Messenger promised us nothing but delusions. The people who possess this kind of heart are contradictory in their dealings. If they have rights upon another, they hurry to claim their rights, yet if they are sought after to fulfill their obligations, they turn away in disdain. When good befalls them, they feel calm and complacent. But when they are put to the test, how sudden is their change for the worse. They are those who have lost not only this world, but also the hereafter. That is the evident loss. So those are two opposites which yield results that are equally opposite in nature. Contentment leads to peace, which eventually leads to prosperity. Resentment about Allah's decree leads to anxiety, which eventually leads to failure. You must remember that from the greatest of blessings that Allah can give to one of His slaves is